Hello, my name is Eisen. Hope you're having a good one. Hope you're taking care. This video is going to be a Lara hard adversary guide. I'm very excited to do this because one, I kind of like making these guides at this point, and two, this is my favorite boss that's come out. It is so skill expressive and obviously hitting however many parries in a row, dodging. It's a very fun fight, but also at the same time, I think it's easy to tell what you do right and wrong. Because of that, I kind of want to go more in depth on this because there's more to it than just pairing everything and pairing nothing. That's kind of the two ends of the extreme. I kind of want to talk about all that middle stuff that 99% of the time you're going to be in. And let's just get started. Let me just start yapping for y'all. Let me center this so it looks a little better. It looks kind of hot dog. Alright, to first start off with the fight, I just want to get this out of the way. Really try to obviously time your parries. I'm going to have a bunch of links in the description to figure out timings and stuff like that. If you don't know the timings, I'll talk about what I use for general timings, but there will be stuff in the description that you can use for reference and what I use for reference. Let's just go through the video quickly. I'm not going to skip too much. I'll skip my dialogue and stuff like that. Entrance of the fight. So there's actually two things that you can do in the beginning of this fight. So I run on my Lara and I run on my MSEA. What you can do here is, you see how these swords spawn? So if you parry these swords, you actually go up around 10 FD, if you see by this ticker mark, which represents if you go above or below a ticker, you gain or lose FD respectively. What you can do here is you can iframe the beginning of this so you don't get hit by the swords, and then you can attempt to parry it during your burst so you actually get an extra FD while you're actually bursting, whether it's origin burst or regular 2 minute. And what I personally do in both of my parties is I try to do 2 2-minute bursts before this power cycle happens, because when the power cycle happens, you go back to the neutral gauge. It's not going to be like that forever, but this is just what I've been doing as a heads up. In this party, I don't do that purely just because we've been lagging a lot, and this is honestly a very consistent way to always 2 burst the power cycle. And again, during this time, it doesn't stay at a specific gauge. So if we don't burst in time, we actually technically lose 20 FD because we will very likely be bursting with a max gauge. And if we get reset, obviously it's going back to 0. That's just my first thought on this. So I don't have to parry anything because it was bound. There's no reason to parry anything and nothing will come out. The biggest thing I'm looking for is as soon as that bind timer is down, I'm looking for his immediate attack. So I'm going to raise the volume a little bit here. The biggest thing you want to know, and this is not something I can teach you, is you really want to understand what pattern they are doing before they do it. Obviously, that is incredibly difficult. A lot of it only comes with reps, but how I see it is, for one, I play with audio. Audio, in my opinion, has been the greatest help in this boss, and in my opinion, I think I could parry most attacks in this fight without actually seeing the boss. Purely because the audio is actually very good, and if you're not used to it, I argue that it's kind of a hindrance because not having audio kind of just makes less cues of when to actually parry. And I'll talk about my parry windows of what I hear specifically to actually parry. So unbound in 3 seconds here. Care for first attack. So I hear like some sword swishes, and that's when I personally parry. There's also certain things like animation. Again, this boss is very like hands-on, so you kind of have to have an idea of what is the timing that works for you. I'll talk more about my own personal parry timings. A good example of that is when he basically crosses his arms into like a dagger position. That is when I parry, obviously, as you see here. I think with audio, it's a lot easier to like hear. Let me see if I can raise the volume for you guys. Let me raise the desktop audio for y'all. Right. There's like a 1-2 sound. It's like a whoosh whoosh. I'll try to raise the volume even more because I think understanding what I mean is kind of difficult because the audio is so low, and I really want to talk about my entire thought process and what I'm actually like going off of. Right? There's like a whoosh whoosh, a 1-2, and then at that point you can parry. You'll never miss it. Shadow here, a good way to parry this is when the shadow is completely gone. Specifically, this is on the third hit. So there's a 1, 2, and a 3. So after this, you parry. That's a 1. You hear whoosh whoosh, I parry. 2. When this shadow completely, not even completely disappears, when it turns into dust, you can parry. When you see this dust, you can parry. And you'll always hit it. Every single time. The reason why I didn't parry there is because I was actually not too sure I was actually going to hit it. And in this boss, I feel like there's two priorities. It's either you parry or you don't get hit. Everything after that is pretty much negligent compared to the other two that I just mentioned. Is parrying and not getting hit. Because how you can think of this fight is if you parry, you gain FD. If you get hit, you lose FD. If you do nothing, the gauge doesn't really do nothing. If you don't get hit, the gauge won't move up or down. There's technically a passive decrease over the fight, but it'll never tick below a, like, basically like an interval of 200. So you'll never lose FD by just kind of standing there and not getting hit. As soon as you get hit, though, you obviously gain or lose FD. So I would recommend, if you're not confident in parrying something, just try to dodge it. And if your parry is not up, really try to dodge stuff. You do not want to be a sitting duck in the middle of like a 1-2-3 pattern where he does 3 attacks back to back and you're in the middle of him. You're going to be put in what I call the blender. You're going to get mixed and you're going to lose like 20 FD for your party. Maybe even 100 FD if you're an extreme. I think these attacks of the 1-2 and then the sword, I think you'll get it with relative timing, or like, not timing, that's not a good way to put it. You'll get used to it the more you get owned by it, but this is not something I think about anymore. When I see the 1-2, I know he's going to do this timing. I personally do this one off feel. What I believe you can do is you can react to when you can react after he does this 1-2 slash and wait about half a second. As soon as you see his arm kind of go back, you can try to parry. In my opinion, it's a little bit too little of time for the average person, because unless you're anticipating it, which if you're anticipating it, you might as well just parry it. You don't need this tip. But I would try to get used to the feel of like, okay, he's going to throw his sword back and then he's going to hit you. You can use that as kind of like your buffer zone in your head of like, if I parry here, I'll always hit it. This is a single strike. A good way to discern this actually is you can go by process of elimination. He will never double strike back to back. So because of him attacking here, I immediately know actually it's going to be a single hit. What I mean by a single hit is he's only going to swipe his sword once, compared to the past where he swipes it twice. He does a 1-2, charge up, you parry. He does a single. The single is, and this is for all mechanics, they're all slightly different in what they want. Some things are a little more intuitive than others. I think when it comes to these short and slightly longer attacks, they're meant to kind of fuck with you. So it's really getting the reps in and kind of understanding what you want to do. Again, in the description, I'll have the 3 guides specifically that I used and I think helped me a lot. But the number one thing is you need to get in this boss. It is what it is. You can watch hundreds of hours of videos. You might be significantly better than the first person that goes in blind. But you're going to need the reps to really feel out that parry timing. Even if it feels like you're kind of embarrassed because Adversary is starting to put your hands on you. It's not fun. It's not fun when you get put in the blender. So single. This is swords. In my opinion, I actually do this off feel now. There is, I'm trying to find the There's like a spinning sword. I'll show it in the guide, but or the guide's in the description. I'm like pointing my hand down. But there's a specific sword somewhere that's like twirling. I don't know where it is, but this is off timing. Unfortunately, I think most of this is going to be on timing, but I'll try to talk about things that are a little more Lara specific. I would recommend using the dash in this fight. The dash can actually be used in very similar situations as a TP that we're getting in the future, because dashes can get you to places more consistently than the Vayne TPs can. If you're watching this before the Vaynes are removed, for one, it's unfortunate the Vaynes got removed, but they are inconsistent in the range that you're going to TP to, and because of that, having a dash that has a set range, albeit besides like going to a corner, and like it shortens the range by the fact it's the corner of the map, makes it so much easier to actually use it as a form of mobility, because it's not a specific range of, you know, from however many units to however little. So in scenarios like this where I want to get in and actually get hit by something for the parry, what you can do is you can dash and you can parry. Another thing I'll talk about later on is you can actually parry dash. You have, I want to say, around a half a second window to actually hit a parry, and if you do a parry dash, there's actually some worlds where you actually need to do that to parry something, because you need that extra buffer time. And I would recommend to get used to having the option to parry into a dash and not always dash into a parry. It's kind of getting in the mindset of what options you actually have as a player. So again, when his daggers are towards his chest, I'd recommend to use that. A good rule of thumb is if he actually stands still, he has a shadow. And what I mean by still, I mean completely still. I want you to look at Adversary. You see how he's just still? And in your head on these early runs, you're probably going to be like, oh, what is he going to do? This is always a shadow. Every single time, if he is completely still like this, there's a shadow behind him. Every single time. Remember, when the swords are towards his chest, that's when he's actually going to hit. So swords on his chest, hit. Swords on his chest, chest hit. That's a single. Again, the timings, you just kind of have to learn it. This is a tip for your party members. You shouldn't do what I'm doing here. You should actually all stack on one specific side. So here I should be on the right with my teammates, because there's this thing that this boss can do called the cross up, and this boss is trying to hit the right side, and that's what my teammates are anticipating, the sword to hit on the right side for the parry. If I'm here on the left, there's a theoretical world that it swaps over to my side. I get the parry, but they don't, and they actually use their parry and it's off cooldown. So this is a very bad thing that you shouldn't be doing. I ended up doing it out of just pure, I'll be honest, just not thinking in that current moment. I think after this, I start to recognize it, because I was like, oh, I can't let that happen again. To be fair, it didn't cost them that parry, but it's that mindset of why I did it. Like, I shouldn't be doing that in the first place. Although I got away with it, doesn't mean that that's still a wrong play for me. And I think that's a mindset you should go into this boss, because it'll very, very much help you. This boss is very... You really need to be on top of it as an individual, or else your party's going to suffer. Shadow. You see how he's not moving slightly in the beginning? So, single hit. He does a double. He just kind of chills a little bit, and then he sets up his daggers. Really get used to that. He stands still there. You saw that in the corner. Dash. There's a shadow dash. It's a very, very good thing to get used to. This is the only pattern that he doesn't do that, is this third one. This is one where, to be honest, you kind of just need to be in range for him. And then again, the shadows disappear. You can immediately parry. this is an audio thing in my opinion. As soon as I hear the audio go up to its highest pitch, I just parry, and this is probably one of the easiest parries in the game for me. It's just, it almost says to you, "Hey, parry now." See, you see that cross up there? That's what I meant by the cross up. And it actually hit both of my teammates, and I'm willing to bet they just didn't get their parry on time. That's a dive. That's another process of elimination thing. You don't need to do this in your runs, but again, this is an example of me bursting with a power, like with extra FD before the power cycle happens. If you are in a future patch, which is going to be 99% of people that watch this, it's not going to matter that much. You honestly want to give yourself the best timer to actually burst. If there's less than 10 seconds left, or your FD is down like -40, you shouldn't burst here. You should just wait for the next cycle and then continue on with your day. Again, it's kind of getting your head into what you want to do. It's only 3 minutes in the video, so I'm going to let some of it play out. Power cycle warning goes through. General timing is when it goes into a power gauge, it'll have one of the two FMA attacks. This is very likely to be sword. This is something that relatively comes with time. Like, if you do this boss 20 times, it's gonna do some things 20 times in a row. It just will. And learning from that will help you a lot. Dash. That's a dash for 1, 2, shadow. Again, when shadow disappears, parry. You see how he stands stills a little bit. That's gonna cross up. Single. That's a single. Another good way to tell single is when the sword spawns and where it spawns. So if you see a sword kind of spawned on his back. You see how the sword is on his back here? And it TPs to his front. That's how you can tell it's a 2-hit. If he just lets it fly and like starts with a backhand, this is single. Again, it's a lot of pattern recognition. That's a dash. Here you can just flash jump. Lara's flash jump is super duper good. Just flash him to his side, you'll be fine. Stand it still. You see the dash parries I'm doing? The dash parries makes it so much easier to be in safe range. And if I think I'm safe, then I can try to get a parry in. It makes that little extra distance of, if I'm scared, I don't gotta do anything. And remember what I talked about earlier, you don't necessarily need to always parry. You can just be chilling out for a little bit while your parry isn't there, and you're effectively not losing your team FD. You're probably not helping them because you're not hitting, but you're not losing them, which is a very, very big thing in this boss. Where I would argue that not hitting for, I'm going to pause a little bit, not hitting for, to keep the 10, 20 FD is better than attempting to get hit, losing gauge, and then going down 10, 20, 40 FD. Like, it's kind of the risk and return of it all. Again, standing still, and parry. I E-formed there once again to negate getting hit. You see how my parry isn't up here? In my head, I'm immediately thinking, play defensive. Try not to get hit. Try not to get put in the blender. So I see this here, and I'm like, I'm just going to E-form it. Just get out of this pattern, and then get back in a good spot. I'm just going to bind it here, honestly. I don't want to do anything. I bounded here because I felt like we had max gauge, and the only thing that could happen to our gauge, actually, is it goes down. So there's not necessarily a reason to risk this parry, because best case scenario, we keep the gauge. Worst case is we lose a max gauge, which is not good. So again, that whole risk and return thing I just talked about a minute ago. Get a nice little burst in. What you can do here is you can keep iframe to guarantee a parry attempt without losing the parry. It's very important. And This is a pattern recognition thing where I tell my teammates as soon as this happens, it's going into the 2 clones, 1 with red daggers, and you have to go there. This is not something you need to know by heart immediately. It's something that's going to come with time. And honestly, if you run enough, you'll get as good as I get to figure out what mechanic is probably coming up without necessarily looking it up. The pitch goes super duper high. I parry. That's the start of 1, 2, shadow, shadow gone, parry. That's the start of a dash. Diving. That's a dive. This will just be a transition. Swords. Start swords. Again, that's more of a timing one. The description will probably help you much better than I will there. Start of 1. Really is just getting the reps in this boss. I barely got that. Could cross up here. In that scenario, in this one, you can't necessarily avoid a cross up. If this happens, it is what it is. If you want to try to save it, in this scenario, you could attempt a TP in the future patches. If you TP here, you're guaranteed in with your teammates. Here, if you dash, it's very likely that if you have any sort of ping, it can still cross up here. Single. That's a 1-2. Parry. Dash. See, you see how I use the dash a lot? I think dash is like the best thing you can use in this phase, besides the TP that's coming out. But even the TP's on a stack. That dash is free, you know? You're not doing a lot to cast it, and you can use it as much time as you want. It's very, very useful, because flash jumping everywhere is not that good in this fight. Dashing to get there is not only faster, it keeps you grounded. You're not in the air. It makes the fight a lot more consistent as well in terms of how far you want to move in a certain amount of time. Okay, I think that's really it for P1. I think I talked about my piece here, so I'm going to go when we kill the burst. Alright, the big thing here, I don't know if you guys notice, I kept my Jenny. Why did I keep the Jenny? Color? This is the answer. So you see how my gauge here is around slightly over 500. The reason why I keep my iframe is to chase what I call the color wheel. You chase this color wheel and you try to find your specific color, I promise you, your gauge will infinitely go up if all your teammates try to parry this. Look at our gauge here. And granted, I missed this first one, by the way. I actually missed this first one completely. I want you to see how high our gauge goes, because my other 2 teammates are doing it. I ended up just missing this one. It is what it is. Again, you want to try to not get hit after this. Look at how the gauge goes up. This isn't me. None of this is me. We're already over 800. And I didn't do anything. And that was just because my 2 teammates want to go chase. Luckily, in the next perspective, I'm actually going to have it.
The altar?
General tip, alter, go to the goddamn corner. If, let's say you're getting pelted by something, save an iframe for it. If you don't have an iframe, which honestly just kind of sucks because you should only really save your iframe for the do or dies, try to find somewhere that is more safe and you won't get hit by much stuff. The more stuff you get hit by, the lower your gauge is going to get. So, again, the whole risk and return aspect of it. Try to get in the corner here. I couldn't get there in time. It is what it is. Sorry about that. Parry timer.
The altar?
Parry timer for the colored arrows is honestly pretty easy. As soon as the arrows are out, you honestly can parry right here. As soon as the arrows spread out in like the 5 directions or whatever, you can already parry, and you'll hit it every single time. Reminder to stay still if you're gonna try to parry them all. If you're moving, a lot of the arrows are actually gonna miss you, and if you're like super TPing, like I'm willing to bet if you flash jump TP, you're gonna just dodge them all, which you shouldn't. You should try to get hit by them. Up, down. The beginning of this is actually really bad for me because I'm actually going to miss a lot. And I'm going to kind of show you the example of how to recover the gauge when you play bad. So here I'm trying to not get hit here. Crossbow. This, in my opinion, is a very... in my opinion, a pretty easy mechanic. This crossbow is going to shoot 7 times in total. After these 6 times it shoots, it's going to pause. You parry a little bit after that pause. So, listen again. I'll let this play. Crossbow. Ultra Nivu. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Stall, parry. The reason why I stand in the middle there is because the arrows will not hit me. You can go into other spots and avoid the arrows, but your timing will be different from mine. So try to play for whatever playstyle you personally do. But personally, I hug the center so the crossbows don't hit me. Wait for the 6 shots. When I hear that little buffer wait, I drop down, parry, and I get hit. And I parry it.
Thank you.
Again, the whole flash jump dash thing. Dash is such a good movement option. I think you should always try to use it. There I got hit. Not very good. Your goal is to try to not get hit as much as you can. If you get hit, it is what it is, though. Color wheel. I believe I chased this without iframe. Don't do this if your gauge is high. This one you can just try to avoid it. It's okay. Okay, no, it's not this one. When you're, again, when your gauge is high, there's not as big as a priority to try to keep it up. You can, like, kind of parry the small attacks, like the ones on the floor that come up, those colored ones. You don't need to go for this color wheel because the color wheel specifically, it doesn't hit you just once. It hits you on like a tick based or like a consistent rate. If you miss the parry and you get hit 3 times, you're gonna lose infinitely more gauge than you could have potentially gained. Just as a heads up. Really get it in your head. Really get in your head that whole the whole risk of it all. The risk of what you're doing, specifically. I parried early here. So you see I parried early here. What I do in this scenario is try to avoid everything. Try to parry your color below you. Obviously, Kenny can't do that because he's an Ori, but... in this scenario, I call to opt for the parry because if you look at this gauge, we're actually very close to the 10 FD. Because I got hit, we actually went down. I call for, if you see your color, parry. We're pretty close to getting FD. I think this is a thing... that, oh yeah, it's obvious, but I just want to explain it just to have a good idea. Separate mechanic, alright, is what it is. Alright, yeah, so no mechanic happened, it is what it is, but it's the intention of it all, you know? Here I think I fuck up. One of these I know I fuck up, I don't know which one. I barely got the parry here.
I got the alter.
Again, the dash. Dash is super duper good.
Just gonna iframe.
Yeah. Transitions happening. Parry. I guess I'll say a basic example of how I parry this timing. Yeah. You see these little circles? When they start moving in to the center, parry. That's what I use. Again, just my whole thoughts on it all. It doesn't need to be this exact way of figuring it out. It's just what I use. Yeah. Closes in, starts to close in, parry. Because there's a little bit of stall at the beginning. Be careful of that. But as soon as it starts to go into the middle consistently, parry. You'll never miss it. Go into the middle, parry. All right, color wheel here. So here I iframe. Color wheel, look at the gauge while this happens. That was unfortunate. I didn't get hit there. But then look at the max gauge. Actually, I'm actually curious why I didn't get hit here. I'm legitimately curious why I actually didn't get the parry there. I want to say it maybe ended. I actually don't know why. I should have got hit there, but I'm not too certain why that was. It is what it is. Again, putting altar in the corner. Make sure you do that. That notification was the heal. Arrows, when it spreads out, you can parry. Closes in, parry. I know one of these I messed up really badly. Alright, I felt like it was really badly. Oh yeah, here. Yeah, yeah, it was there. In my opinion, it's actually better to be earlier than later. Here, I just cut it too late. I went into it when I shouldn't have. If I just stayed and parried, it would have been fine. This was just me trying to be extra because I didn't know when it was going to end. It is what it is. I make the mistake. Again, I have no parry here. I'm playing defensive. I'm trying not to get hit by anything. That is my goal.
Okay, okay.
Try not to get hit. And then parry my color, of course. Arrows, as soon as it comes to me. I don't know if you saw that. I was flash jumping around. A couple arrows missed me. If you want your gauge to go up as much as possible, you want to stand still for this attack. Because how many arrows missed me? I think 4. I think 2 hit me. Maybe 1. But keep that in your head. I bound the color wheel here. Honestly, this isn't a bad bind for the color wheel. If your gauge is low, you should actually try to get hit by the color wheel because it'll increase your gauge very well. If you have max gauge, you can kind of negate one of them. Because, again, if your only gain is to maintain a high gauge, you should actually just try not to get hit at all. And keep the gauge as high as possible by not getting hit. Ori here.
He's got altar. Oh, it's you. Don't worry about that.
In that scenario, if you Ori and it spawns on you, do I even see it spawn on me? I don't think. Do I see it spawn on me?
I bound the color wheel, but that's what it is.
I don't see it. I literally don't see it at all. Oh my god, whatever. Okay, if that happens, it is what it is. Try to put yourself in a good spot to where you don't, you're not on, like, if you see my mouse here, you're not on one of the portals when you burst, or you're not in the dead center. I think where I am is actually a very good spot. I didn't intend for that, but this is honestly where you should burst, is on the left side of the bird, or like adversary, or the right side. You shouldn't be dead middle because there are patterns where you want to be dead middle, and you don't want to be corner, like far corner when bursting, because you're not going to hit your burst. At least as a Lara, you're not hitting your burst, and you're also not maintaining your summons.
Nice.
In this scenario, it is what it is. I was actually in a very good spot looking back at the video, but it wasn't intentional. You want to do things with intention, and that was not something I had intention with. Missed the parry here. I'm looking to do defensive play. Parried back. Arrows here on the bot right. If the arrows went bot left, it would have still been fine because the gate isn't on a portal. That's the main reason why the portal thing matters. I iframe there because not getting hit matters a lot. Do I get hit here? I know one of these I messed up really bad. I just don't remember which one. Miss parry here. You shouldn't greed for that. Okay, here's actually a good example of a missed parry. Or not. Oh no, sorry, I just ascent here. Ascenting here is honestly not the worst play because I was actually scared I was going to get hit and lose the gauge, so I just ascent here to prevent the getting hit portion. In all this, I'm ring swapping. You don't need to ring swap early on. Your goal is to keep the gauge above that half mark all the time. So don't worry about swapping if you're a little nervous about it. It's all good. Remember, you have new colors after every surge. Be aware of that. Iframe here. I'm here trying to chase the color wheel. Again, look at the gauge when we do this color wheel. I try to get the greed for the 4th. You shouldn't greed most of the time, honestly. Just take what you can get and run. Again, the whole risk and return. It really is just what I've been talking about, but just in different ways. But again, getting my mindset of this, I think, is the reason for this. And
10 seconds.
if you don't believe with some of them, that's okay. It's okay to do your own thing. It's but I also think in the same vein, it's also good to understand why I do it in the way that I do, even if it's right or wrong. Here is good. Try not to get hit here because you see the gauge is getting slightly to that bracket mark. So if we get hit once, we lose FD. So I try not to get hit here. We're honestly so ahead because we've been doing very good on the gauges
Save
run.
iframe for in case of what's it called?
Here, I think I fuck
You
up.
have to go to the right.
No? I swore I messed up somewhere.
Might just descent here.
Like
too.
bad. Maybe it was the run before?
Go into corner. I'm just gonna send this.
Yeah, I sent this to just iframe through it. I'm fine with that. Is this not the run I messed up? I swore this was the run I messed. It might be this one. I think it's this one. I know I messed up one of these pretty bad. No? No way, this is just clean. I don't believe that. I don't believe I did this cleanly. Okay, I get hit there. Crossbow. Okay, this wasn't the run I fucked up. Sorry for baiting, but it's the whole plane defensive thing. I don't think I'd played that bad that phase at all. I thought I messed up something. It wasn't what I thought it was.
I think if you have
P3.
I think we should have
Before this starts, I'm gonna go over my mindset in this fight. The biggest thing is always hitting your colored laser during the mechanic of when the laser beam happens. That's the #1 priority. Second one is making sure this guy is on my screen. It is very bad if he is off your screen because he can either be charging up a 1-2-3, which what I mean by that is there is an attack where he does 3 dashes similar to P1, but it's color coordinated to where it starts with red, blue, then yellow. Or he could just be TPing on you. It's really bad for this guy to be out of your sight, so keep him in your sight. So once again, the priority is parrying and then not getting hit at all. Other than that, you don't gotta do much. It's only for min cuts is when you really gotta start pushing the limit and trying to do as much damage without getting hit.
attempt to do color
But
wheel.
most
Actually, I do
people
have
will
it.
not be doing that if they're
Oh, yeah,
watching this
that one
guide.
too.
Long.
The best way I have personally dealt with parrying this is there is a whoosh sound, and it's actually if you parry when you hear that whoosh sound, it actually always hits. I mean that sound, the whoosh hit, like right before it hits. You can also just anticipate for it, but
Actually, I do have it.
this is what I listen
Oh
for.
yeah, I have one too.
Again, the patterns are very similar for the 1-2. The whoosh parry. Honestly, for this boss, actually crossing up is pretty fine because it's not 3 of you, and very likely if the one person sees the color, they can go do their own thing. Crossing up on this phase is not as bad. Again, the whoosh sound. The charge up sound is a little bit tough. I think these charge ups, because they are slightly different, makes it really hard. They're not even, I would argue they aren't slightly different. They're very different. This one's fast. Also, a good way to tell is where he's holding his sword for long or short. He is holding up his sword, literally up to the sky. This is going to be a long time. I did not mean for that to rhyme.
Long.
But this is the visual cue that it's a long. So I wait a long time to get hit. Again, my teammates get hit, but that's fine. This is going to be short, though. I was aware of that. Short, get hit. Color coordinated.
I want to do color wheel if you have the iframe.
Yeah.
Might as
So
well.
iframe through this. We're just trying to increase the gauge. Keep an eye on the gauge and see where it goes.
After that one,
Again,
right?
this is like the priority. You want to parry, dodge, and then everything else becomes after.
Sorry, but we gotta go there.
Try not to get hit by lasers because lasers decrease your gauge. I got hit by too many. The reason why is because if you get to a bracket, it will not go under that bracket until you get hit. If you see my gauge is going down
Yeah, I was gonna get fried.
passively, nothing's happening, no one's getting hit. As soon as someone gets hit, it's going to drop the FD.
All good.
So if someone gets hit by this volley once, it should just lower the FD gauge. No one got hit.
Start of one.
Parry.
Free shadow.
Timings for this, I think, are actually similar to P1. Again, I'll show it later, but the dagger, when he has it on his chest, you can do it. This second one is actually really fast. I'm trying to think about how I would say to react to this besides like the whole get good thing, which I think is just BS. But he has a similar charge up, but it's much faster, and it's on, and he's kind of holding it behind like his head. Much faster. I think just keeping your head though, specifically that dagger attack, the middle one, is fast. That's gonna be a single hit. Long. Whoosh, parry. That was actually a very good example because I actually paused when I heard the whoosh, and it's actually perfectly on when I parried. Again, I think that's a good example of that timing window actually being very, very nice. Here I have no iframe for the color wheel. I think, again, you just prioritize hitting your color. You see how the dash gets me out of the way? You gotta use your dash in this fight. That instantaneous movement is so good. You can use TP when it comes out, but really try to use that dash. And don't overuse it because sometimes you don't need to use it. You want to just find scenarios where it actually helps you, and it's something that, again, is more consistent compared to flash jumping or using the Vayne TP. In that scenario, I didn't go for a parry because there's a yellow laser. Long. I don't know if I was ever late to a parry this run. Long. One. Fast dagger 2. Oh no, I tried to duck it, didn't I? You can't duck the yellow. Actually, basic rule of thumb. Yeah, you can never duck the yellow. I'll put guides again in the description so you guys can make sure of that. I'm mostly repeating myself at this point, but I still think it's good to kind of get in the, or attempt to get in the headspace of what I'm thinking of. In this scenario, we kind of just got comboed here. I say we despite me hitting every parry, but just people just got hit. It is what it is if this happens. Again, your goal here is to really try and not get hit, because if you're not below this gauge, you're not going to lose any gauge. The worst thing you can do is try to keep getting parried. And there, I accidentally got hit, which honestly kind of cost us that gauge, despite me trying to recover it here. Like blue here. Try to parry this. Like we almost made it, just one hit, but just try your best to do what you can. If it's not enough, it is what it is, you know? New color. Really prepare on the new color. A good way to actually know your color immediately is look at your interact key. Whatever it is, minus space. It doesn't really matter which it is. It already shows you the color. You don't got to look over your head. You already know what the color is. New color. Again, 2 is a little faster. If he colors wheels, I can color wheel. I don't want to deal with it. The reason why I bind here, actually, is because at this point in the fight, I know that we're going to get out as long as we don't go under gauge. So I ended up just bursting here because, for one, we need our burst to actually go through. And if we risk the potential fact of losing 40 FD, it's really bad. Compared to, I think later on, we could attempt to actually parry that. But it's a difference between minus 40 FD and plus 20 FD. In my opinion, we just go here because I'd rather take the flat versus the potential 20 versus minus 40. Oh, no. At least at this current moment. I save the bind timer as long as possible so they get their maximum damage out. You never want to cut your bind short, obviously, but that's just me talking. One. Again, the dash makes it easy. This is long. Whoosh. volley.
Careful.
You really want to try to dodge this or iframe it if you get in a really bad scenario.
Do not get hit by those.
Start of 1,
Two shadow.
2 shadow. No shadow on 3. Parry.
Short. Hit wheel. Careful here on the wheel.
Color wheel.
Okay, I got blue.
I think I double parry here.
Try both.
Did I double parry there? Let me check. I don't think I did. I think I got the laser. I don't think I double parried.
Try both. I can.
Did I do both? I can't tell.
Okay, I got blue.
Regardless, you kind of have an invulnerability time. Like a very, very tiny one during the parry. There is a world, honestly, that I just missed the following hit, but I got hit by the laser. I think that's what that was. That's the start of 1 in the corner. Again, not knowing what it's doing here is really, really bad if you're over here. I know what they're doing, so it's a little bit easier for me to deal with. Them not knowing is really bad because they can just get hit out of the air. Single, parry, long, whoosh, again, parry at the same time. I think it's a very good indicator. Again, the dash is to really try to get out. And here I might argue to not... That's a dive.
In this scenario, high key just plays safe so we don't go under the 500 gauge. Don't.
This was my opinion. I think this is a fine general argument. So my burst is coming up at around 15. In my opinion, we just chill back. We wait for the 1, 2, 3 to go past. Because if we try to parry something, what is it going to give us? It's going to maybe give us 10 FD. Or if we mess it up really, really bad, we can either lose lives, we can lose gauge. The cons are much worse than the pros. Because we can't even burst here. So that's why I make the call.
You can't guarantee. Volley.
Volley is what I call this. Really try not to get hit here. If there was a world that I was going to get ultra hit, I was just going to iframe.
Being even versus 10 FD up. It's okay.
I got my roar up this time.
Nice. Alright, you can go on the money here, whoever it is.
It's me. Going?
Good, good,
Oh,
good.
maybe I should have waited for an animation. Ah, it's fine.
I think you hit it actually like immediately.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you even missed a part of it. Remember your color change? Yep, I'm blue.
Yeah, thank you. I'm yellow.
Just going to let it play out a little bit because it's
Just be aware.
all the foundation of what I already talked
Yeah,
about.
I know what I'm doing.
Play for gauge.
Start of 1, careful.
Iframe through it. In this scenario, for somebody who maybe isn't as confident in parrying something, try to parry the highest priority ones. You can look at guides for it, but generally lasers that are kind of like a whole beam have higher priority. Those are the ones you really want to hit. If you're not confident in hitting this back-to-back parry, don't do it. It is what it is. You don't gotta do it. Because you see here, I iframe, and I actually go for hitting this. If I missed it, it's actually really, really bad because it actually messes up my teammates. But this is just the confidence I gained for doing the boss. Again, the dash to get in the spot immediately, faster than if I was flash jumping. Here, just trying to dodge. You could also, again, use an ascent to get out of the damage portion. It's really, really good. Start of 1. Again, dash away. Probably dash in or flash jump. Either one. I just really like the dash usage in this boss. You can use TP again in the very similar position.
Short.
Short. So they call me in high school.
Long.
Long.
Start of 1.
Start of 1. Again, this second one is a fast dash.
3 shadow. Start of 1.
I'm trying to think why I knew it was... The only reason why I knew is because it wasn't a shadow, pretty much. I was just confident there wasn't a shadow behind him. Because the shadow is relatively close to his body. Red.
Short.
diving. So here, it's like a pretty bad spot where I don't really see him. Get out of the scenario again, just try not to get hit. Diving. You can, again, go under the assumption of if adversary isn't near me, what could he do? Very likely it's a dive.
Yep, you can.
General, that goes back from like a BM tip I had a while ago when I did the BM guide or whatever.
I think regardless, this is a beautiful time to hit the burst. Good.
Beautiful time to hit the burst, in my
Thanks for
opinion,
that
because it
advice.
also
Thank
prevents us from
you.
losing gauge. Yeah, when it comes to min cut, you're going to play much differently than I am. You're going to be a lot tighter and when you have to burst, but this is just a general tip for getting into the boss.
Blue color.
Again, daggers towards his body. The middle one is the fastest out of those three.
Blue.
Oh, this is long again. Listen for the whoosh.
Job. Elemental beams. You can use iframe for this one. Start of one.
Doing the
Again, I go for a little greed play. That is just going to come with experience of the boss. Try to prioritize the highest priority thing if you're not comfortable parrying.
Short. Holy fuck.
Good iframe. Again, that's a good example of iframing in a spot where like I might get hit. How much things? So round 4 here, I was just like, nah, screw that. Another 4 there.
Good iframe.
Just a good iframe to get through and not deal with. Get in the middle of those two.
Yep.
I really hope I do a parry dash. That's what I'm kind of hoping for.
Red, it's mine. Short.
And not a dash parry. Like, very specifically, I parry first.
Long.
Again, dude, the dash just makes it so easy. I really like dash in this fight. 2, 3. Oh, this one was pretty clean though so far.
Short. I'm
Here,
fine
I'm
with
probably
binding
gonna
that.
argue to just bind it
we already have
because we don't need the gauge. You see how the
Maybe.
gauge is up?
Nice, that's nice. I'm binding here. We have full gauge anyway.
Like, again, there's no reason to play the color wheel there because you're just gonna lose gauge. There's no reason to play it.
That's what it is.
Yeah, he's dead next burst.
And
Also,
then I
this
kind
run's
of
a lot faster.
do the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Who
mean,
got
I think this
stronger?
run, every burst we've been.
Oh, gauge.
Yeah, I was about to say, Alan.
The
Alan's
gauge
absolutely
got
correct.
stronger.
He's right. I think
Actually,
our
it
run
might
was. I think
be
we gained
Alex
4
just did it.
minutes because we just played it better.
Just be wary.
Have I been late to a parry? I'm trying to. I don't think I've been late to a parry this entire run, which is not. It wasn't something I was paying attention to. I was just playing, but that's a good personal me goal.
Color wheel. Hello, new color. If you have iframe, you can use it for this. I will be using it for this.
Again, the parry there. Here, I don't pop one of the 60s because I was scared I was gonna get off CD.
Volley.
Volley. Again, just try not to get hit. You want to keep your gauge as high as possible before the burst.
Yep.
I think I did it right there.
Volley.
Maybe not. I think that was just close to each other.
10 seconds?
Yeah, no, I think it was just close to each other.
Long.
I want to see like a parry into like a dash, like very obvious, but I don't think I'm gonna get that.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go. Let's see what's out.
Yeah, I just think I'm gonna get it. Yeah, so we just kill it here. Overall,
Oh, if we could have that run. every
pretty
week,
good
that'd
run
be
from
fun.
us. I thought that was definitely our best run. That's most of the. Well, that's the fight done. I'll go over a little bit of. Not tips, but like a review of what I was talking about. Biggest thing is the priority list you want to go to is parry, don't get hit, everything else. You either want to parry, and if your parry's down, just try not to get hit. If you do that, you'll have a lot easier time trying to deal with your gauge going from like 1,000 to 0. Second thing is getting used to timings. However you get used to that. I personally use sound, and in my opinion, I think based off this run, I think it's good evidence to state that sound has been helpful, because I don't know, I probably missed 3 or 4 parries and it was all in P2, I want to say. I didn't miss a lot. And I argue it's because of sound cues and me just learning the sound cue. Another thing to get used to is prioritization. If you are a new player to this boss, try to prioritize the harder gauge managing thing. Gauge managing. Let me stop there. Prioritize the things that are going to influence your gauge more, is what I meant. In a scenario like P3, for example, you'd rather get hit by the laser over getting hit by the second dash in a 1-2-3, right? You just prioritize that. If you do that, it'll give you more confidence going into trying to do more risky stuff like what I do in getting multiple parries in the same iframe, despite being like super close to each other. For the fourth one, I don't really got too much. You kind of just need reps in this boss. A good thing you can do is you can go into easy mode and just see the fight out for yourself, get used to the timings. I think it's very, very useful, albeit there are less things to be worried about in other phases because they don't get rid of gauge. Keep in mind, just try not to get hit by anything, and if you do that, going into lower difficulties, you'll be fine. Anywho, I think that's all I really have for this video. It's been a long time since I've done this, but I'm happy I am doing it. And if you guys have any questions, you can put them in the comments. I'll answer them if anybody actually needs it. And then in the description, I'll have the guides that I used. Anywho, have a good one. Take care. That's all I got. Have a good one.